Alright, so in the previous lesson, we saw how to build the fog and the high level clouds. So in this lesson, we'll set up the shaders for the fog and the high level clouds using Octane. Okay, so let me just, now one more thing which I think I haven't done is Octane doesn't like polygons which have more than 4 sides, which is why I think you can see a little bit of artifact stuff going on here, in the scene. So what you should do is, in the bus or in most objects, when you have like n-gons and stuff, you should add like a divide at the end of it. So if I come to the bus and then at the end of the bus, I can just take a divide modifier and just connect that. Okay, so it will divide everything, and if I render it now, it should be better. Yeah, as you can see, like that area no longer has that, those triangular artifacts that you were getting. So this is important. Like whenever you're doing Boolean based modeling and you're going to render it in Octane, at the end of it, you should apply a divide so that, you don't get artifacts. Okay, so let's get started with the fog. So what I'll do first of all is let's just hide a few of these things. So I'll hide the bus and the bus stop. We'll hide the instances as well. And we'll also hide the clouds. Okay, so all I have is just my landscape. Yeah, so I just have this. So let's start off with the fog. Now, one of the things with Octane is that if you overlap two volumes, you tend to get artifacts. And the way around it is if you have the same step size, it causes lesser issues. Okay, so if we look at the shader for the cloud, and you'll see our step size is at 50. So what you want to do is, if we apply the same material to the fog, you should keep a step size of 50. Okay, so that if you match the step size, it causes lesser issues. It can still cause issues at times, but it causes lesser issues. So I'll just do a Control-C, Control-V. We'll call this fog. I will bring in the fog and we'll assign the material to that. So let me just come in here to ShopNet and we'll pick up fog. And I went in and I applied a convert VDB to these and converted them to volumes so that we don't have the issue that we were having before. And apply the Octane object parameters and switch on render volume primitives. Okay, so once you've done all of that, we should be ready to hit IPR. Yeah, so there you go. So this looks pretty decent. So what I want to do is I would like it to be a little more reddish. Okay, so what I can do is let's just come in here and make this a little more stronger in color. And let's just see if we can, like, we lower the density, and let me just adjust the absorption color. Yeah, there we go. So you can see it gets, a little more reddish. And what's also interesting is one of the reasons it would be difficult to do passes with a scene like this is because the volumes are actually modifying the lighting as well. So it gets a little tricky. Also, like, the volumes are in the way of the light, so they also cause shadows, but the volumes are actually affecting light. So if we start to get this really low, you'll see, like, see, that area becomes reddish. Okay, so that becomes, so it's very difficult. Like if I remove this and do it in a pass, this lighting will change. Okay, so we want, so it becomes a little tricky to do that. Yeah, I think this is okay. We can try to work with, adjust the max value here for the volume scattering, like for the scattering ramp. So it sort of blends a little bit better. And then we can just, I think this is good. So it looks like it's, sort of fading in. And then let's do one thing. We'll just, I'll just look at it from top, and I want to adjust the size of this. So I'm just going to take the fog and press E and just stretch it out. And also increase the height a little bit. And I'll move it a little forward. And let's also try to do one thing. We'll fade it out a little bit more. So I'll come into the fade and I'll adjust the vertical fade to be a little lesser. Yeah, so let me just hit a reload. Let's do a snapshot of this so we can do a before after comparison. But yeah, this is the one thing I like about, yeah, there you go. See, so it fades out a little bit more. Okay, let's just come in here again and we'll adjust let's also increase the density a little bit. Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's quickly bring in the other clouds to see if we're getting any artifacts or not. So I'll bring in cloud 1 and cloud 2 and let's hit reload. Even if it's causing issues, it's very difficult to get away with it. But, oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah, as I said, like if you match the step length, it works better. Okay, let's change it slightly. I'll modify it a little bit. Yeah, I think this is better. Let me try to adjust the height a little bit more. Yeah, so if you can see here, like at the cliff, it looks really nice. And also you can see, let me do a before after because this should be interesting. So what is going to happen is the light is going to filter through like the reddish fog and it's actually going to change the color on the cloud itself. So if I remove the fog and do a re-render, then the result is going to be fairly different. Yeah, see, so if I look at this and this, you can see like the lighting here changes completely. Okay, and also you can see like this lighting goes away a lot. So the fog actually makes a fairly big difference between the scenes, especially if you start adjusting the absorption color, you'll get very different results. Okay, so yeah, let me bring it back. Let's bring in the ground fog also. Now, if you want the fog to have a bit of a glow to it, so what you can do is like, let's say if we want this fog to have a bit of a glow. Okay, so what you can do is come into the Octane settings, change the emission grid to density as well, and let's set IPR. And then what you can do is you can give it a bit of a glow if you want. It'll also end up giving out light, so you have to, think about that as well. But now what I can do is I can, like not too much, but if I come into the shader, then what I can do is I can take a texture emission, and if I plug this into emission and increase this, see, you can see that it sort of lightens up. Or if I make it reddish and I jump up the intensity, see, so you can actually make, if you want the fog to glow a little bit, you can do something like that. Actually, that looks pretty decent. So what you can do is you can keep this to white if you want, and then we can take another ramp. Okay, so we can take another ramp and plug that into emission, and we can change this to red, and then I can adjust it till we get, like, let's do one thing. Let's just take this really high. Okay, and then let's try to adjust. See, so you can adjust so we can get like a little bit of a sunrise glow at the base of it. This looks pretty decent. Like, let me try to adjust that a little bit. Yeah, there you go. That looks interesting. Okay, so this way you can sort of, mix and match and create more interesting things. Okay, now let's bring in the second ground fog, and let's duplicate the shader just in case if we want to adjust it. So we'll do Control-C, Control-V. Yeah, let's call it fog 2, and we'll assign it to the ground fog. I'll do the same thing here, and we'll pick up fog 2, and let's hit a reload, see what we get. Okay, that's a bit too much. So lower the intensity a lot. Actually, let's do one thing. Let's get rid of the fog altogether. We just increase the density. And yeah, let's apply it, but we'll control the intensity a little bit. Yeah, I think this is fine. Just lower the intensity. Okay, and then we can just adjust it. So let me just take, this is like a post-apocalyptic place, but okay. Yeah, let me just adjust this. Let's try to do something. Let's go slightly bluish with this. So I'll change the absorption color to blue. Yeah, I think that's better. And reverse the volume ramp, the scattering color to like a yellowish. And we can try to adjust this a little bit. Yeah, again, just change this to a blue as well. Yeah, I think this is okay. Let's just lower the density because we don't want it that much. Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, let's do one thing. I want to make the basic color to be darker. So I'm just going to take the basic color and make it about here. And let's make it slightly shiny. Yeah, I think that looks better. Yeah, so now you're getting like a fairly interesting result. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, so the final thing left is to make the clouds on top. Now, what I want to do with the clouds on top is, let me just save the file. So what I want to do with the clouds on top is, since in the HDR, the clouds are going this way, let's rotate this and see if we can match it to that. So that way we should be able to maintain the same HDR and match these clouds to that. So it will look a little more cohesive. That would be a nice thing to do. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's come into the ShopNet. I'm going to duplicate the cloud, Control-C, Control-V. We'll call it high cloud, and I'll assign it to this. So let me just hit IPR. So let's adjust a few things. Let's see if this works. So what I want to do is, let's increase the density a little bit. Oh, perfect. Wow, that looks kind of crazy. Let's make this bluish. Yeah, my idea is to try and match it to like that color. So that's what we're going to try and attempt. And let's get the scattering color to like a yellow or a red. So it sort of matches like a sunrise effect. You can see, like, if I adjust it, you can see the lighting actually change, because the light sort of filters in through that. And lower the density. Yeah, let's just hit a region render, see what we're getting. Let's do one thing. Let's try to get this down to 20 so we can get a little more detail. Yeah, I think this is okay. Lower the density further. Yeah, I just wanted to blend in, slightly with that. Yeah, I think this is nice. Let's do one thing. Let's stretch them out a bit more. I'll press E and I'll just... Yeah, let this render through. I think this looks fine. It matches well enough with the background. Yeah, there we go. This looks fairly decent. What we can try is we can duplicate it, put it slightly higher and bring it in from this side as well. Let's just try that. So I'm just going to duplicate this. So do Control-C, Control-V. Yeah, and press T. We'll take it higher and I'll rotate it. Okay, let's just hit IPR and see what we're getting. Yeah, I think this looks good. Okay, so this is essentially how you can build the cloud shaders and the fog shader in Octane. So we have finished with the modeling stuff. So the only thing left now is to do the visual effects stuff. So starting with the next lesson, we'll build the smoke exhaust for the bus, and then we'll use that to build up the vellum stuff.